In addition to the above characteristics, Leviathan, as one of the principal agents of Satan, has remarkably evil qualities. Given these gruesome qualities which Leviathan possesses, there is hardly any way Leviathan, one of the arch enemies of humankind, can be sympathetic towards his victims. A catalog of such evil qualities include being destructive. Of all the principalities and powers that are presently in league with Satan, Leviathan is the most destructive. Leviathan is in charge of ruining or tearing Yahuwah's creatures and his works to shreds, and also changing people's reputation to foolishness. He is in charge of the killing squad of the Satanic kingdom. He is the great annihilator, vanquisher, and the crippler of Yahuwah's work in man. Leviathan is the destroyer escort of Satan and other principalities working in the satanic government. All the world's destroying agents are under the control of Leviathan. Violent. It is also believed that of all the principalities and powers that are presently in league with Satan, Leviathan is the most violent. He is marked by extreme force or sudden intense activity, which are notably furious or vehement. He causes extreme intense pain to people. He is always emotionally agitated to the point of loss of self-control, which makes him always prone to commit violence. Impatience. It is also believed that of the entire principalities and powers in the league with Satan, Leviathan is the most impatient. He is not hospitable in any sense. There is no caring in his dealing to any extent. This is the most impatient principality in the kingdom of darkness. Riotous. Leviathan is the most riotous of all the principalities and powers presently in league with Satan. He is riotous in nurture, turbulent in all his ways, initiating and participating in every form of riot. This principality initiates disputes and quarrels and is full of profligate behavior, debauchery, and unrestrained rivalry. The presence of Leviathan anywhere brings great noise, uproar, or disturbances. Leviathan is known for public violence, tumult, or disorder. Leviathan is the master destroyer of public peace, promoter of disorderliness, source of confusion, and wild amusements. He always indulges in rivalry or wantonness. The Queen of Heaven creates riots, but in most cases does not engage herself directly in them. Leviathan, however, takes direct control of such riots. Deadly. Leviathan is seen as the deadliest of all the principalities and powers that are presently in league with Satan. Leviathan causes death to good things more than other principalities. He is the chief producer of death and is always aiming to kill or destroy, and therefore extremely deadly. He is very implacable in nature and is highly effective in exposing people to death. Leviathan is marked with determination or extreme seriousness in every evil action that leads to destruction and death. He has a far-reaching vitality with powerful tendency to deprive people of their lives without mercy. He is the most deadly, mortal, fatal, lethal, and capable of causing death without notice or signs. Hellish. Leviathan is the most hellish of all the principalities and powers that are presently in league with Satan. Leviathan's actions anywhere are very hellish, resembling or befitting hell. The sickness or problems from Leviathan are terribly hellish in nature. He takes his victims to the realm of the devil and the demons, which is a place or state of misery, torment, and wickedness. Sorrowful. Leviathan is the most sorrow-causing agent presently in league with Satan. Because of the sorrowful nature of Leviathan, his victims are always deeply in distress, sadness, or regret, and always unhappy or unpleasant. Leviathan is always very temperamental, and he causes grief or sadness. Leviathan and his victims are always in sorrow, grief, anguish, woe, regret, full of or marked by sorrow. Leviathan is capable of inducing sorrow anywhere. Unfaithful. Leviathan tends to be the worst source of all forms of unfaithfulness, as far as all the principalities and powers presently in league with Satan are concerned. He is never ready to adhere to vows, allegiance, or duty, and is very disloyal. The Ruach of Leviathan and his victims make them unfaithful to marriage vows, inaccurate, untrustworthy, and very unfaithful. barbaric. In comparison with other principalities and powers that are presently in league with Satan, Leviathan is the most barbaric. Leviathan causes its victims to possess a primitive spirit. They are wild, having a bizarre, primitive or unsophisticated quality, very backward, barbarous, ignorant, uncivilized, lacking culture or refinement, mercilessly harsh or cruel. Leviathan's spirit inside its victims makes some of them inferior to another land, culture, or people. It causes them to lack refinement, learning, or to be artistically or literally ignorant of cultures and other important issues of life. Unnatural. With respect to being unnatural, Leviathan is the worst. When all the principalities and powers presently in league with Satan are considered, he does not have natural feelings. The spirit of Leviathan in his victim makes him to commit immorality with relations without feeling guilty, father and daughter, mother and son, brother and sisters. 2 Timothy 3:1-7 says, "This note also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahuwah, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, for of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts, ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Unreasonable. As far as other principalities and powers and the whole universe presently in league with Satan are concerned, Leviathan is the most unreasonable. His victims therefore lack the ability to reason rationally and are in most cases characterized by insanity and madness. Leviathan is not governed nor acts according to reasoning or sanity, and all his victims are like that. They do not conform to reason. Leviathan, like his victims, also exceeds the bounds of reasoning or moderation. His victims normally work under pressure and tend not to be controlled by reasoning. Harmful. When the character trait of being harmful is considered, Leviathan tends to be the worst among all the principalities and powers in league with Satan. He is marked by his ability to cause physical or mental damage, is very injurious, and always causes mischief and hurt to mankind. Leviathan is capable of spreading evil power against people, especially during Harmattan, working through dust-laden wind on the Atlantic coast of Africa. The victims of Leviathan cause a lot of harm and injury in the environment. Despiteful. Leviathan has the worst record of being the most despiteful among all the principalities and powers presently in league with Satan. He shows contempt or defiance to people of all categories. The spirit of Leviathan and his victims make them to look down on people and things with contempt or aversion. They neglect and disregard people, things, and places as worthless or distasteful. They can scorn, disdain, or refuse to consider the realities. They attack with vehement condemnation and regard realities as low, vile, feeble, or ignominious. They show extreme indignation, contempt, arrogance, or supercilious aversion to what is regarded as worthy. In spite of all the goodness of Yahuwah around them, they treat people with contempt and provoke to anger. Leviathan is very malicious or hateful in nature. Proud. Leviathan is marked by the worst form of pride among all the principalities and powers working with Satan. Leviathan displays pride and incites all his victims to display excessive self-esteem. They are marked by being stately, glorious, vigor, and spirited. Leviathan tends to raise himself above all and all surrounding areas. He is very arrogant and claims to more important than warranted. His victims are like that, very haughty, being conscious of superior birth or position. They are always in pompous and manifest an arrogant display of power. They are very insolent, contemptuous, haughty, extremely overbearing, tyrannical, and intolerable. Insane. Of all the principalities and powers presently in league with Satan, Leviathan is most insane. The mental disorderliness of Leviathan is the highest in Satanic kingdom. The mental exhibition of insanity of Leviathan is the worst and incomparable in the Satanic kingdom. He is very destructive without reason. and making money, Leviathan is insane. And pursuing power, Leviathan is insane. And marriage relationship, Leviathan is insane. And business life, Leviathan is insane. And war, Leviathan is insane. And destruction, Leviathan is insane beyond reason. The insanity of Leviathan supersedes that of the Queen of Heaven and other principalities and the Satanic kingdom. When the spirit possesses a person, focusing him or her in fornication, pool staking, gambling, adultery, etc., they do so with all madness. Leviathan has the worst and highest state of mind in doing evil with all insanity. Leviathan is mentally disordered and unsound in mind and lacks understanding. He lacks the mental capacity required by law to enter into a genuine relationship or transactions. Leviathan is of extreme folly, unreasonable and utterly foolish. Obstinate. Not only that, but also of all the principalities presently in league with Satan, Leviathan is the most obstinate. Once Leviathan resolves to do anything evil, only Yahuwah can stop him. Genesis 11:1-9 says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men build. And Yahuwah said, Behold, the people is one, and they shall have all one language. And this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahuwah did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahuwah scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Once resolved or purposed in anything, no matter your reasons, arguments, or persuasion, Leviathan does not turn back from doing that thing, and he is not easily subdued, remedied, or removed. He is very difficult to remedy, relieved, or subdue without Yahuwah. Leviathan has the most extreme, unreasonable persistence, often tenacious and unwavering, and has demonic sturdiness and resisting change. Leviathanic spirit and his victims make them too stubborn to admit error. His victims have an annoying or irksome persistence, always refusing to take no for an answer in their resolve to do evil. Victims of Leviathan have a thoroughly unreasonable obstinacy. Evil. Leviathan is morally reprehensible, sinful, and wicked. He is the most offensive, disagreeable, and therefore the most evil of all the principalities and powers in league with Satan. Leviathan is characteristically marked by misfortune. He is a cosmic evil force in the satanic government that brings sorrow, distress, or calamity on earth. Strongest. In terms of strength, Leviathan tends to be the strongest of all the principalities and powers in league with Satan. Leviathan is very efficient in utilizing strength for evil purposes. He is the most forceful principality working with Satan. Weakness, meekness, and mildness are not part of his vocabulary. He does not pretend like the Queen of Heaven. His actions are extremely intense and acidic. Leviathan is very flagrant, moving with rapidity of force in doing evil. He works with whirlwind speed. He is very ardent and zealous to do evil and destruction. Leviathan is not easily injured or disturbed. Leviathan is very solid, not easily subdued or taken. His kingdom is well established, firm, not easily upset or unseated.